Today is July 5th, 2022. My name is Rob Carr of Kalamazoo Right to Life, and this is Pro-Life Week. Well, a few thoughts today. I saw over the weekend that Vice President Kamala Harris made the comparison that abortion bans and slavery both deny individual rights because they deny or they control another human being's body. Well, I know the pro-abortion people have been making that assertion for a long time, that denying a woman's right to have an abortion is the same as denying a black person freedom. Well, it's interesting because the pro-life movement for the last 50 years has been making the opposite argument, that being pro-choice or being pro-abortion is the same as being pro-slavery, because you're denying the unborn the right to live, the right to be considered a person, just like in slavery, the slave owner was denying blacks the right to be considered whole persons and citizens. So I got to looking at some previous statements that were made by early pro-lifers at the time of the Roe v. Wade decision in 1973. And here's one from a man named Walter Trinkhaus, who was the founder of the Right to Life League of Southern California, actually the first pro-life group in the nation, founded in late 1966. And here's what he said after Roe. Quote, "There is something reminiscent of the days of slavery in accepting the concept of half persons." Or in Roe, the unborn was not considered a person in the whole sense, just partial human, not in the whole sense. John Noonan, who was a law professor at UC Berkeley, later became a federal judge for the Ninth Circuit in San Francisco, commented shortly after the Roe opinion and said that the worst consequences of the abortion cases was that a law that defined what was a human being. All of our constitutional liberties are nothing if we can be defined out of the human species. He said Dred Scott declared that blacks could never be citizens. And as dreadful of decisions as Dred Scott was, Roe and Doe versus Bolton went even further. And he concluded, only by constitutional amendment could these two decisions be effectively nullified and the unborn granted legal protections. There was another law professor who had graduated from UC Berkeley, Robert Destro, who wrote a long critique on Roe v. Wade. But he made a comment that he says Roe defenders claimed that the unborn had never been counted in the census and thus not considered persons in the whole sense. Well, that's true. Yet the court in Santa Clara County versus Southern Pacific Railroad, a Supreme Court decision passed in 1886, declared that a corporation may be a person within the meaning of the 14th Amendment. So now this is Destro writing, quote, this writer is not aware that in any census a corporation has ever been counted. The Constitution was too inflexible to include the fetus as a person. It cannot reasonably be thought flexible enough to include a corporation. So obviously a corporation is a person, but an unborn baby is not a person. One is the product of a human mother and a human father who's not a person, but a corporation that is a legal entity, on a document on a piece of paper, that's a person. So figure that one out. The Democrats want to pass a national abortion law to codify Roe v. Wade at the federal level. And they could pass this. They probably will pass it in the House because they need a simple majority to get it through, and the Democrats control the House. But in the Senate, it won't pass because you need 60 votes if there's going to be a filibuster. And two Democrats even have already indicated they do not want to eliminate the filibuster. But even if they did, what's the expression about about what you wish for? Let's suppose that before the midterm election, the Democrats remove the filibuster and pass this national abortion rights law codifying Roe v. Wade, making it abortion in all 50 states. So now the midterm elections take place, and the Democrats are routed. They lose big time, and the Republicans take over the House and the Senate. Well, the filibuster is now gone because it was already eliminated before November to get this pro-abortion bill through. So who's to stop the GOP from enacting a pro-life bill that overturns the previously passed pro-abortion bill? And the Republican bill would ban abortions throughout all 9 months of pregnancy. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but if you eliminate the filibuster, then simple majorities can pass any kind of legislation. And, I can imagine if the filibuster is gone and the Republicans were to pass a pro-life bill codifying Dobbs, basically, banning abortion throughout pregnancy, you'll see Democrats coming out of the woodwork screaming and demanding that the filibuster be brought back, because we can't have majoritarian democracy. We have to have balance, they would say. We have to have minority rights need to have a place in our democracy, in our system, and which has been the argument all along. Why the Electoral College is a perfect example of the rights of the minority being protected, so that the majority can't ramrod legislation or policies upon the whole country. We need to have our country handles things in a very slow, measured way. Typically, we don't change things by revolution, but more by evolution, even though I don't believe in evolution. But the concept is true. Evolution or incrementalism, not revolution. Well, getting rid of the filibuster would institute revolution in Congress, whether it's coming from Republicans or from Democrats. And I think, as much as I don't necessarily like the filibuster because it prevents good bills from the conservative point of view from being enacted, still I'd rather have the process go slowly rather than have the Democrats pass even more extreme woke legislation than that the country really deserves. So before I leave, just a few more days before that pro-abortion petition drive is going to end, but don't sign it if they come your way. With that, I'll let you go, and I will see you next time.